Let's talk about chop and drop mulch. This poor borage plant didn't stand up to some heavy winds that we had recently. You can see it's flopped completely over. It's on top of my radishes, on top of my sad little carrots that are trying to come up and encroaching on my peanuts over here. So I'm going to take the opportunity to turn it into some chop and drop mulch, and I thought I'd just do a little explanatory video about the whole thing. So let's start by talking about mulch. What is mulch? Why do you want to mulch? What's the deal with it? So mulch is anything that you're going to put down on top of your garden bed, right on top of the soil, usually in smaller pieces. And if it's made out of something organic, meaning it was once alive, then it will eventually break down and go back into the soil and feed your future garden. So you can see on this bed, I have a layer of wood shredding as mulch right over here. So I've got some larger pieces, and then I've got, you can see some smaller pieces here as well. What mulch does is it helps to protect your garden. So when you water or you have a big downpour of rain, the soil can't splash up on the leaves. And that's important because the soil will hold certain pathogens or diseases that can be harmful to your plants. So you're going to protect your plants from catching those usually funguses. It's also going to help to regulate the moisture of the soil so that not too much is going to evaporate during the day. That's particularly important if you garden in, hello pollinator, if you garden in raised beds like I do. And mulch also helps to decrease how much you have to do weeding because weed seeds can't reach the soil nearly as easily. They're going to get stuck on top of the mulch and never really take root. You might have heard that certain types of mulch, if they're made from things like wood, can tie up nitrogen in the garden. And that's true on the level of the mulch. So where the mulch is, as it's starting to break down, the microbes that break it down will hold nitrogen hostage for a little bit. But the nitrogen's not gone. It will be released as the mulch breaks down. So in a year or 2 years, as you build up the garden and what is mulch now is next year's soil, that nitrogen will be available to feed your future plants. So even though my beds already have mulch on top of them, I'm going to be adding some chop and drop mulch, mulch over mulch. Why am I going to do that? Well, first of all, I have this organic matter, and if I don't use it, I'm actually eroding nutrients from my garden. Anything that grows from my garden is taking up nutrients from the soil, using the sun, using the rain, and the effort I take to water it. And if it just goes away into the city compost, then it's gone, and I have to replace it somehow. If I use it, then it's giving back directly. Another reason is that over time, as I plant and harvest things and things move with animals running across my bed and the wind, I start to have some bare spots. You can see I've got a couple over here. So if I'm adding some mulch throughout the season, I'm going to fill that in and continue to protect my soil as best I can. And another reason is that my composter is only so big. I have a dream of having a beautiful 3-tier, 3-bin compost system, but I don't have it yet. I only have one, and all of this is not going to fit. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just look at the plant. I want to make sure that I'm not going to bring any obvious diseases or pests to other areas of my garden. So I want to look at the leaves. Do I have too many holes in them? Not really. That's good. I see a couple of ants, so I'm suspicious there might be some aphids around. Oh, little spider mite, only one there. Any brown spots, like there might be a fungus. Nothing that I'm really seeing too much. So I'm not too picky about this. I want to get a general gestalt of what's going on. If I see 1 or 2 aphids, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Ah, here is an aphid. But only one. That's not a colony. Yeah, I think we're good. So borage is actually quite prickly, especially on the big stems. So I touch it a little bit with my bare hands, but usually I like to wear gloves if I'm getting right in there. So I'm going to put those on. Borage, because it makes such big plants and the leaves are so good for the garden, it's a really good chop and drop mulch. Another couple really good ones are comfrey or rhubarb leaves, which we can't eat anyway. Usually when you want to chop things, you want to cut them in such a way that when water runs on it, it's not going to pool. So you're not creating a place that earwigs want to hang out or where you could have some rot. But with borage, the stems are hollow, so it's hard to do that. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. And let's just see. Over here, I've got a broken stem. I'm definitely taking that off. I'm going to put them on the ground for now because I don't actually want to use the flowers for my chop and drop. If you look at the flowers, a lot of my flowers have gone to seed and some of them are getting close to that. So if I chop and drop seeds into my garden, most of them won't turn into little borage plants because they're going over top of the mulch, but some of them might. I'm just creating work for myself. There, now the rest is much more contained. Maybe this nasturtium will have a bit of space to spread as well. And I'm sure the borage plant will probably bounce back and I'll have to chop it back another couple of times. It's just like that. Okay, and just to get rid of those seeds, now I'm going to take some of those flowers off. They're not going to be part of my chop and drop, like we said. So I could do the stems, but I just do the leaves. So then I pull off the leaves, and I could chop up the stems and put them in my compost as well. And when I've got a good handful, I can go do the drop. So if I'm lazy, I'm just going to drop it like that. But I don't want to smother anything that's growing up, and I might have planted some seeds here. I just want to make sure it's little pieces going down that the seeds can poke through. And the smaller they are, the faster they'll break down and feed my soil as well. Boop. Yeah, a little bit there, a little bit there. And then I look at it, and I don't want to have a big pile really anywhere. I do want to cover the soil, but I don't want to create a nice little hiding place for caterpillars or slugs or things like that. And that's it. In 2 days, you won't even be able to tell unless you look really closely that I put anything here at all. Thanks for visiting. If you'd like to see what I'm up to next, you can follow me right here at LCK Gardens or LCK Gardens on Instagram. Bye. Oh, nice bird. Okay, I changed my mind. I'm gonna put the stems right here.